Demon keeps dreaming of a demon town. Motherfucker, bitch, fuck, shit went down. Fleming's got an itch, scratch it with a bitch. Demon keeps dreaming of a demon town. Ooh, Johnson, that's my name.
Hello there, Sarah from 17 once again, introducing you to my Shadows of the Damned Satanic Hell difficulty video walkthrough. This is the actual first level of the game, and it is entitled 2-1 Take Me to Hell. So as you can see here, this is me selecting the difficulty. It's a nice little way of introducing the difficulty and introducing the main title card. I did enjoy that, but it doesn't last very long, and it's a little bit misleading. Because when you see Johnson turn into the motorcycle for the first time, you think, oh whoa, there's probably going to be a motorcycle section in this, akin to, you know, the one that was in Final Fantasy VII. And it never happens, which is really, really strange. And that section right there that you've just seen, where you open the door and you get attacked by the shadow dudes, you're in kind of like an active QuickTime event where you get to shoot at your feet, but it never happens at any other time in the game except for that very one instance. And that's another strange thing about this game. And I mean, this is a Suda51 title, so by sheer definition, it is a strange game. As you've just witnessed there, the save points on this is a one-eyed bat that takes a shit, and the shit signifies a checkpoint, which is pretty amazing, and it's pretty funny. But it adds to the general insanity that Shadows of the Damned is. And for all intents and purposes, it's got a really, really interesting and unique world. And I do believe that it is a really good game. It's just, if you deconstruct it, you can pretty much see the holes, basically. You can see where it doesn't hold up so much, because when I first played it, I kind of thought that this was like a modern-day Resident Evil 4. It had really good controls. It was obviously a third-person over-the-shoulder type shooter, and you were moving around an area, picking stuff up, with healing items, shooting zombie-esque monsters with a gun, and all that kind of stuff. But by the end of it, I kind of felt that this game didn't have shit on Resident Evil 4, because Resi 4 is a fantastic game. But like, a lot of this is finding keys. It's going A to B, finding keys to open doors, and doing the combat, doing a couple novelty moments, and chasing down your girlfriend. And a lot of games have a very simple premise as well, but you don't notice it because it's hidden a lot better than this one is. And I don't know, it kind of fell apart a little bit for me narrative-wise, because the very start of this game, when you're first introduced to Fleming, Fleming is this ridiculously pompous, sexual innuendos out the yazoo kind of demon dude. He's constantly dropping stuff and taking the piss, and it's all very sexually motivated. But aside from the conversations between Garcia and Johnson when you move through the levels, it never really hits that same level again. There's no overly flamboyant cutscenes that are just completely full of innuendo and just stupid nonsense. Everything kind of takes a back burner to the action. And I was a little bit disappointed in that. And I was a little bit disappointed in where the game went, because it doesn't stray very far from the path of what you're doing on these very first levels. And it's not necessarily a bad thing, it's just, I think I expected a little bit more from the madness that is this title and its developer. But I would say if you're on the fence about buying it, rent it, because it's not the longest of games. It does have a lot of replay value. Its replay value is hindered, though, by a couple of ridiculous design choices, but that aside, if you like third-person shooters and you're not too interested in the survival horror aspect of them, this game is terrific. It really is. It does a lot of good stuff, and I'm going to talk about a lot of the good things it does, but I'm going to talk about a lot of the bullshit as well, because this is a pretty long guide, and we're being introduced at this moment in time to the mechanics of the game. So, alcohol in the underworld does not give you a hangover, so you can drink as much as you like, and on this game it is effectively a healing item. So the more alcohol you have, the better in check you are. It doesn't give you any adverse effects, it doesn't mess with your screen, it just heals your life, which is cool. And the doors with the gold, I think it's called Uroboros or Uroboros, the serpent eating itself, the continuous cycle thing, whatever that is. It's not quite that symbol, but it's very similar to it. The gold circles or the gold halos on the doors with like the wings. Whenever you see that on a door, that means that's where you have to go. Whenever you see a baby face on the door, that means that it needs a key. The keys on this game are strawberries, brains, and eyeballs, and you generally find them pretty close by. And aside from that, it's just introducing you to this concept of the darkness and the goat's heads. So in the darkness, you'll notice in the bottom right hand corner, my kind of like my darkness shield type thing is going down. As soon as that runs down, it will start eating away at your life, and you will die in the darkness. It is a bit of a nuisance, if I'm completely honest. It's the one mechanic in this game that I think if they'd left it out, I would have probably had a lot more fun, but at the same time, it definitely makes it a little bit more different, and it definitely makes it a little bit more challenging than it necessarily would have been. And one of the ways to remedy the darkness, anyhow, is to shoot the lamps that it's showing you now. There's also the goat's heads. The goat's heads will illuminate the area, so if you see a goat's head or you see one of those lamps, make sure you shoot them with your light shot. And that's pretty much as intensive as the puzzles get with that. There's a couple of doors later on that you can shoot with your light shot, but that aside, it's pretty standard stuff. The light will stun enemies, as you've just seen then, and also you have the ability to shoot the light shot, which is the left bumper when you aim your gun. And this is an unlimited ammo. Think of it as a stun shot. Think of it like a concussion round. And the encounters you saw me do a couple minutes back, I'm going to be doing a very simple strategy to take on the enemies when I know I can control a group. And to save ammo and to just make the experience a lot cleaner, the best way to kill things and the fastest way to kill things is to hit them with the light shot, run up to them and then do the quick time event to kill them with a brutal kill. It is a one-hit kill. It will work on pretty much every enemy except the crawling dudes, and instead you'll stomp those guys. And it's the fastest way to take dudes down without wasting ammo. Because I mentioned on my first video, but I didn't really go into it too much, the aiming on this game, it's not bad, but it's not good either. It is probably one of the looser aiming systems I've ever used, and it does take some getting used to. And the enemies themselves, unless you hit them directly in the face, they'll take a few shots. If you hit them in the face, and you get the little camera zoom, it tells you that it's a critical and that you'll take the head off and all that good jazz, but it's a lot harder to do than it is to say, unfortunately. And it makes the strategy that I'm going to show you, where I use the light shot, it makes that something anybody can do. You do not need to be skilled to do it, and it just kills things much quicker. You're completely invulnerable when you're doing it. If you're at all concerned of being hit as you come out of the animation, just bash the A button, because the A button will enable you to roll, and the roll on this game makes you immortal while you're doing it. It's a bunch of invulnerable frames, and it is insanely useful. If you can't dodge an attack, spam the roll. If you don't like an enemy and it's too close, spam the roll. If you use the roll intelligently, you'll have no trouble with most of this game. Doesn't mean you'll be able to do it though, unfortunately, because that brings me to the next topic, which I should probably mentioned earlier. This game on Satanic Hell difficulty, you do not get an achievement for doing it, so my biggest advice I can give to anybody is don't fucking do it. This is probably the most frustrating guide I've ever recorded, and I've recorded a lot of guides now, so it speaks volumes about the bullshit that you'll find. These masked guys, if you shoot them once in the face with the skull cushioner, the shotgun skull gun, it will take the mask off, and then you can do whatever you want with them. If you're not confident in killing them, just do whatever you want to do to them. You know, the best way to fight. Everyone's got their own preference. It's entirely up to you. These early chapters are probably some of the more challenging ones, because your weapons just don't kill things fast enough. It makes the brutal kills that I was doing with the light shot and then the execution, it makes them so much more powerful and so much more useful early on. I don't actually know why I didn't use them just then. Instead I got my arse handed to me, and now the screen is all bukkaked with blood for my trouble. But yeah, there is an achievement for beating it on the difficulty under Satanic Hell, but there isn't one for doing it on this end. The shift between the two is almost invisible until you hit the boss stages. And it's the same with this difficulty. The levels are easy. You will watch me breeze through these levels with very little trouble. I get hit every so often, and every time I get hit it's because I got sloppy or I didn't do what I should have done. It's that simple. Everything is as easy as it was on Legion Hunter, and there's no real difference. They may take a couple more shots. They're not that more aggressive. There doesn't seem to be any definable differences between the difficulty. Where the difficulty really shows its head is the boss fights. And just to go back on topic, sorry, before I mention the bosses, one area you will notice a difference on this difficulty is the amount of currency it takes to buy items, to buy ammunition, and to buy the red gems. Everything's slightly more expensive, and that aside, it's just the bosses. The bosses on this game are broken, they are bullshit, and they're annoying. And This run is an original life bar run, which means I'm not going to be upgrading my health at all. I've decided to do this to help as many people as possible, because there's nothing worse than watching a dude on a video guide who's got max life telling you how to do a strategy that involves being sloppy, and you just do not have the ability to take that much damage. It doesn't help anybody. So by not upgrading my life, I show you that the game can be done on the base health, and it can be done quite easily, a few bosses aside. And oh my goodness, the boss fights themselves are very predictable. They're very stationary. They're very standard. They're arbitrary, if I'm honest, and they generally revolve around a pattern of 3. You'll take on a boss, there'll be a way to stun him, and there'll be a way to hit his core, or to hit his weak spot. Once you shatter the weak spot, he'll come back in his second phase. It'll generally be the same, but he'll get a couple more attacks. He might be a little bit more aggressive. You stun him, you shatter his core. He goes into phase 3, where he'll get a bunch more attacks. You stun him, you shatter his core, you win the fight. And on every other difficulty, this is not an issue. This is just, it's a boss fight. It takes a while, but it's a boss, you understand that. On Satanic Hell, these boss fights that can usually be 4 to 5 minutes long become 10 to 15 minutes long. And the only way to shorten them is literally have upgraded weapons or play perfectly, play flawlessly, literally hit them every single opportunity you get, hit them with the most damaging thing you can, and get lucky. And doing it on a run where this boss fight has no checkpoints through all 3 phases, and when you have the original life bar and you're on this difficulty, you're generally going to die in 1 hit. 1 to 2 hits is how much you'll take. Later on in the game, everything is a 1-hit kill pretty much, aside from, like, if it does a fireball attack and it grazes you, that will not kill you. But everything else, if it's a direct impact, you will die. If you upgrade your life, could be different, but this is all from my perspective, so these potentially these potentially easy bosses become really challenging when you have to do these perfect no-hit runs. And it's not to say that doing a no-hit run isn't difficult, but when you combine the fact that you can't skip the cutscenes, so you're watching these arseholes talk for 10 minutes before you fight, it can turn a 5-minute boss fight into an hour of pain. And it's not cool. But hopefully with this guide you'll avoid all the bullshit I had to put up with, and you'll be able to conquer it quite easily. But as per usual, people, thanks for watching, thanks for listening, and you take care now.